The objective for Chapter 4, Section 1 is graphing relationships, and we have three key words to start out with: increasing, decreasing, and constant. If something is increasing on the graph, it will be going up. If something is decreasing on the graph, it will be going down. And if something is constant on the graph, it will be horizontal. So our first example says, each day several leaves fall from a tree. One day a gust of wind blows off many leaves. Eventually there are no more leaves on the tree. And we need to choose the graph that best represents this situation. So there are three things that are happening in this graph. First of all, we have several leaves falling from a tree. Second thing, we have a huge gust of wind that blows a bunch of leaves off. So that's going to be a steep decline. And then eventually there are no more leaves on the tree. So again, that's kind of a gradual drop. So we should have a graph that's gradual, steep, and then gradual. And that would match up with graph B. Leaves falling off a tree. This is our huge gust of wind, and then the leaves falling off a tree. Our second example says the air temperature increased steadily for several hours and then remained constant. At the end of the day, the temperature increased slightly before dropping sharply. Choose the graph that best represents this situation. Well, we have a couple things going on. First of all, we have a steady increase. Then the temperature remains constant. Then the temperature slightly increased, and then it dropped sharply. So our graph should start going up a little bit, and then it's flat where it remains constant, and then it goes up, and then it drops quite a bit. So increase, flat, increase, drop, and that one matches up with graph C. 3 through 5, we need to match these three graphs with these three situations. First one says a tomato plant grows taller at a steady pace. And if we look at these three graphs, graph C matches up with a steady pace. A tomato plant grows quickly at first, remains a constant height, so this would be flat on our graph, and then grows at a steady pace. So increase, constant height, increase. That would match up with graph B. And then number 5, a tomato plant grows at a slow pace and then grows rapidly with more sun and water. Here's a slow pace, and then right here suddenly it starts getting more sun and water. So that would match up with graph A. On the next page, we have continuous and discrete graphs. Continuous graphs are solid lines, and discrete graphs are dots. So a solid line would go like this, and a discrete would be dots. And we've talked about some situations of discrete graphs, like number of people, number of pizzas, number of nights in a hotel, number of animals. You can't have half of an animal. Either you have one or you don't. You can't go to a pizza place and I'd like to order 6.5 pizzas. So that's a discrete set. Number 6 example says Jenny is selling candy bars to raise money for the school dance. For each candy bar she sells, the school gets 50 cents. She has 15 candy bars to sell. So across the bottom, this is going to say candy bars, and the left-hand side is going to say money. We need to have 15 candy bars across the bottom. And then across the side, I'm going to go up by dollars. I think I made my graph a little bit big. If she sells 1 candy bar, she gets 50 cents. 2 candy bars is $1. 3 would be $1.50. 4 would be $2. 5 is $2.50. 6 is $3. 7 is $3.50. 8 is $4. 9 is $4.50. 10 is $5. 11 is $5.50. 12 is $6. 13 is $6.50. 14 is $7, and 15 is $7.50. Since these are dots, this is a discrete set. You can't go into a store and say, I'd like to buy a half a candy bar. Either you buy one or you don't. Number 7, Tim's heart rate is being monitored while he exercises on a treadmill. He starts out walking and his heart rate remains the same. I'm going to put a 1 there. He increases his pace and his heart rate is steady. He begins to run. His heart rate increases more rapidly. Remains high while he runs. And then as he decreases his pace, his heart rate slows. So for this graph, we are going to have time. And then this will be his heart rate. Well, we can't start our graph at 0 because he can't have a heart rate of 0. So I'm going to start it about right here. Again, first thing, he starts walking and he has a pretty steady heart rate. He increases his pace, so it goes up a little bit. Then he begins to run, so it increases a little higher, steeper. He remains high while he runs, and then as he slows down, it decreases until he's at a steady pace again. So we have 5 parts of our graph here. Walking, increasing your rate, starting to run. Running for a while is where it's constant, and then it decreases to that constant rate again. Number 8, pet store is selling puppies for $50 each. 8 puppies to sell. Sketch a graph. So across the bottom we are going to have puppies, and across the side we're going to have money, and we have 8. So we're going to have 8 tick marks across the bottom. And I'm going to make these go up by about $100. So there's 100, 200, 300.